a lot of the ideas about racism today about the Chinese, if the new mainland and Hong Kong Chinese can understand, hey, our presence in Canada is paid in full and more. It's paid in full and more.
Hong Kong land is so limited and there isn't a lot. So where are people going to go?
Well, I don't think anybody in Hong Kong is worried about foreign investment in property. I think people are worried about investment by mainlanders.
Right now, there's an unaffordability crisis in Vancouver. And so whenever those crises kind of come up, there's always a group to blame. And right now, that group is China.
Well, Hong Kong's the most unaffordable city in the world, so clearly, like, housing is a significant issue in Vancouver. The affordability is like the second most unaffordable place in the world, and so there's definitely issues here that I still don't feel like people are really, even like the politicians, the governments are really addressing enough.
Yeah, I mean, sure. In Hong Kong, one of the concerns many people have is that mainland speculators are buying up property in Hong Kong, which then jacks up the prices for everyone else.
Both increasingly difficult for local income earners to buy or secure their first or second home.
To me, the fundamental issue has to do with income disparities. And as they're growing, and they really have been, and people don't even have a sense of it.
Foreign money, particularly in China, is being problematized in Vancouver. Yet Vancouver has always accepted investments throughout its entire history. And so I think we have to solve issues of unaffordability and the base problem of speculation in housing in Vancouver before we talk about the foreignness being a problem. So we really have to interrogate, like, what is foreign?
Anything or any people who are not from Hong Kong, I classify them as foreign.
So it's not exactly like if you're from a different state, then you are foreign. I would think that if you're from a different culture context, then you are foreign. Yeah.
Hong Kong people are different from mainland Chinese. We cannot say it's different nationality because we're Chinese, but it's just we have cultural difference, and we're okay with tourists as long as they respect our culture, but apparently they're not.
Foreign, I guess, is where that's not your home. You don't speak the language. 就算去返大陸，你都要申請 visa 嘅時候，咁我就覺得有少少唔係自己個屋企，唔係自己個地方。
On the one hand, mainland Chinese people are accused of driving up property prices, which means that they must be really rich. On the other hand, these Cantonese communities talk about these mainland Chinese people as being people who take their resources, from within their communities. And if they're taking their resources, then they must be really needy. So mainland Chinese people are both rich and needy.
There's this general sense that Chinese people are rich. What's underlying that is just poverty, right, across the board with seniors even.
I simply think it's really just the sheer volume. I mean, we have 1.3, 1.4 billion people, billion Chinese in China, and that's a good percentage of the world's population. And
so I would say, if I had any particular criticism, the leaders of Chinatown talk about their history and their culture and harmony, but by and large, they don't know their history. They don't really want harmony. They just want to make money. And that's worrying.
we can talk about nation state money and foreign investment, but I also don't think that's necessarily helpful to the conversation of the central housing problems in Vancouver. I think that it might be Chinese money, but it also might be local money. There are a lot of old white rich folks in Canada.
Yeah, Hong Kong people are guilty of that, of buying up property in Vancouver, but they feel that the way they did it is okay.
It's easy to pinpoint race as a possible reason.
Yeah, it's the same with kind of anywhere, right? Like Canada too. It was okay when the British and French went in and took over land in not so democratic ways. But for some reason now that a different color, a different race is doing it, it's problematic.
The media certainly not helping. The sensational journalism is the norm now. It's always easier to find somebody to blame.
I think it's human nature. When we do something wrong, it's fine. It's easy to point fingers at someone else. And I think instead of addressing maybe the real causes, like the government could have addressed the public housing issue here and they didn't.
Right, it's hard to distinguish between anti-Hong Kong government sentiment, anti-central government sentiment, and then anti-mainland people sentiment. They're all sort of mixed up, I'd say.
The instability that they felt for Hong Kong's future, so it's kind of like a backup plan. There is still that little bit of a question mark here. And that's where I think the housing prices have been affected, because they're trying to make a home there so that they can run there if they need to be, in a safer place. And I think that comes from the long history with China.
Foreign finance capital can only make a space here because of the type of speculative housing development that we have here. If we didn't provide a space for that, then that conversation would not even happen. Housing is used to create wealth here, not to actually house people. So that's the central problem, and that the focus should stay on that.
Another country or another city offering better opportunities of any kind, then you will want your family to be there as well. It's a testament of how great Vancouver or Canada is. I think it would be a shame when one day, if ever, Canada doesn't attract any foreign capital. But then there's something wrong with our Canadian multicultural values. I hope that day never comes.